konunua koe ana tupua. Tapareia tapa, konunua tapa. Konunua koe ana tupua. Ka hawi runga, ka hawi raroa, ka hawi te manawa, tapu tanga manawa. First place to see the sun, the tide of 50 is always on. Best be ready for the time of your life. Cruising down the highway 35.
Harapa ana te ngati, ki te riua way up. Tuake, te whakatohea.
He wi Ngāti, no Porou rangi.
He ko te kuti, te wera, te hua ko Apanui.
Pareirei tapa, konunua tapa. Tapa konunua koe ana tupua. Tapareia tapa, konunua tapa. Konunua koe ana tupua. Ka hawi runga, ka hawi raroa, ka hawi te manawa, tapu tanga manawa.
Pai jana wane namli, chutaki ki te hati nati. Greka. Wakatata, tatarawa, wakatata, tatarawa. Wataki wai para para.
Wai para para.
State Highway 35.
A tokomaru for a power pie. Straight down to Whānau. Tamako Paikea. Wai weherua. Pareirei tapa, konunua tapa. Tapa konunua koe ana tupua. Tapareia tapa, konunua tapa. Konunua koe ana tupua. Ka hawi runga.
Ka tauha whakatau ko te rangi e tu nei, ka tauha whakatau ko te papa e takoto nei, ka tauha whakatau ko te Taumata Kōrero o ngā mātua. Ko mene ki te pōkati he Māori ora inga iwi o te motu, nau mai hoki maira. Welcome back to the podcast, the Taumata Kōrero, the quintessential space to disseminate a little bit of esoteric knowledge. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Raniera Harrison, back in the driver's seat, back to drop some esoteric knowledge all for you on your Friday evening. Ko te tumanako e haumaru tunu ana te noho I roto I o koutou kāinga, because, friends, Romans, countrymen, I have a bit of a guest with me. Joining me tonight, I was on Facebook earlier today and I pitched her as the mother of two, CEO extraordinaire of Hine Collection. We have joining us the beautiful Miria Flavell e te tuahine, tēnā koe.
Kia ora, kia ora. That was a flash-ass intro.
Hey, not too bad, eh? Not too bad, eh? Hey, let's not beat around the bush. Let's get into it. I think I've done enough talking for the first 4 minutes. I'll throw it over to you. Tell us a bit about yourself. Who is Miria Flavell? E rā kōrero katoa, ngā mana, ngā tapu kei runga I a koe. Kōrero mai.
Ko ai Miria Flavell, okay. O tēnā tātou, ko Miria Flavell tōku ingoa. Ki te taho tōku pāpā, he uri tēnei no Ngāti Wewehi, me Ngāpuhi. Ki tau tōku māma no Taranaki me te whānau Apanui. Kia ora tātou, my name is Miria Flavell. Very proud māma of two. I've got a daughter, Te Hare, she's 7. Got a son, Taumata Kōrero, he's 5. What can I talk about? I was born back home in Taranaki, New Plymouth. Spent 7 years there. Moved around a lot. Because of my papa and all the jobs that he ended up having. So we moved around a lot as kids. And so, but spent a bit of time in Tāmaki, spent a bit of time in Whakatane, but then we eventually arrived at home in Rotorua, so that's home for me, that's where my heart is. And my parents are still there in Waititi, that's where our homestead is. And yeah, what can I talk about? So I went to Rotorua Girls High School, spent my schooling there, and I don't know, I'm probably going way ahead, but yeah, anyways, now I'm in Kirikiriroa and the very proud owner of Hine Collection, but I'll stop there because I'm probably going to start talking about things that you'll probably ask me anyway.
Whakahokia mai te poro, whakahokia mai te poro.
Yeah.
You mentioned something, you moved around a lot. I want to get into talking about, let's go right back to the start. You reckon you moved around a lot, and the politically sound amongst our viewers will recognize the last name Flavell. Tell us about all of those sorts of things. The former leader of the Māori Party, obviously, Te Ururua Flavell, your father. Talk us through that. What was your childhood like growing up, following around a massive leader of Te Ao Māori like that?
Oh, it wasn't actually him being a politician that made us move around a lot. It was just the jobs that he would get. So we moved to the Bombays when he was the tumuaki, the principal of St. Stephen's, and then we moved. He had his job at Apanui in Whakatane, so it was kind of like going, but we'd be in Tāmaki and then we'd be in Whakatane, but we went to different schools. Mum was kind of like testing out all these schools. Is this good enough for my tamariki? So it was kind of like that. And then obviously the time we spent in Taranaki as well. But super grateful for all the areas that we did live in, because we experienced so much as kids and met so many people, made heaps of connections, went to some awesome kura, but the best thing was us arriving in Rotorua and staying there, because that's where all my lifelong friends are, all our whānau are, so that's definitely home for all of us. But in terms of politics, I hate talking politics. Anyone that knows me knows I hate talking politics. But it was kind of our world for a very long time. I think it was 14 years. I was only 14, I'm pretty sure, when Dad got into Parliament, and it was crazy. That's probably the best word I can use. It was crazy. We experienced a lot him being in there, but obviously very proud of everything he did do in his time, and we're just happy to have him home now. It's like, yes, come home, stay at home. So now he's just the koro and doing what he's doing at the moment.
Let's move it forward and let's bring it back to you. Talk to me about Hine Collection. Where did the idea for Hine Collection? Those of you who have been hiding under a rock for the last 4, 5, 6 years will have not heard about the biggest Māori entrepreneurial movement in New Zealand, in Australia, in the world. I'm going to say it on the Taumata Kōrero, in the world, Hine Collection. What is Hine Collection? Who is Hine Collection?
Well, it's funny because Hine Collection is kind of a person to us. Obviously, it means a lot to not only me and my whānau, but everyone, our community, our Hine community. How did Hine start? So it was random. Honestly, it was really random, but there were a few things that kind of just fired me up a bit. The first one was when I started my health and fitness journey. I went to go buy me some activewear, and I was a lot bigger back then, and for me to even start my journey was quite huge, because I was mangere as. So even trying to find that kind of that push to go and start being active and healthy and all of that, I was like, I'll go buy some activewear, and struggled. And I was a size 14, and so I was like, man, why aren't these brands catering to like all of our wahine? It was crazy to me. And so that happened. And then the second thing was a lot of my mahi back then was on social media, and I would notice that majority of clothing brands were only showing one particular body type. And so that's where the frustration started to happen for me, because I'm like, nah, this is too much. Like, why does this keep happening? That, first of all, we're not seeing my body shape, or, anyone, majority of our wahine, we're not seeing those different body shapes all over social media. And, me being a mama as well for my daughter, I was like, that's crazy. Like, why is this still happening? And I didn't want her growing up having to see that and feeling like she needed to look that certain way as well, or she needed to fit in, or to, and even just our message that we put out today for our new collection, I talked about, you don't have to look a certain way to be considered an athlete. So it was kind of like all that kind of all those things that were happening at the time, so this was about 3.5 years ago, 4 years ago, it all was happening at the same time. And so it was just literally like, I was like, I'm over it. And it just came to mind. I was like, hey, I know that no one is doing an activewear brand that caters to all of our wahine. Well, why can't I do it? And I remember walking out to my mum and telling her about it. And she was just like, what the heck? Where did this come from? But, and I just said, Mum, like, I'm over it. I want to do something about it. I want to just create something that's like literally going to cater for any wahine, no matter what size they are, no matter what they look like, their shape, their size, all of that. Like, we've got something for them. And so that's where it started from.
I just want to pick up on that. You have to have a certain level of confidence to be able to be the solution to a problem. Like, don't take this the wrong way, but we all face injustices every day of the week. But to go that step further and go, hey, you know what? I'm a size 14 and I can't get any activewear. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this a step further. Where did that come from? Are you that type of person that kind of takes things just that? Are you a bit extra that takes that step further and goes, hey, I'm going to do something about this?
I'm pretty stubborn. I will admit that, and probably all my friends and family are like, "Yep." I am pretty stubborn, and so I think that when this whakaaro just came into mind, I was like, I have to do this, man. Otherwise, it's gonna I don't want to swear, but it's gonna annoy me so much if I don't do it. And because of the reason behind it, I was like, no, I have to make it happen. So I don't know if I was confident. I don't know, like it just took over me. I was like, I just have to do it. And I knew that if I didn't, it would just kill me. Like it would just stick with me and I'll have major regrets. I would regret it. So yeah, I don't think I was, I mean, like didn't have any business experience or anything like that. So I don't know. I think I was kind of just porangi, to be honest. I was like, when I look back, I'm like, I don't know how, why, but it happened.
I was reading some anecdotes on your Facebook on some social media this afternoon, doing some research on you, and I came across this caption, and it said, "I remember the time we went to our first market day, and we couldn't even swell." Tell me about that very first market day that Hine Collection went to, and was it 2017?
2018.
Tell me about that time and the sales that occurred.
Yeah, well, see, back then it was a buzz just being there. So there's like these things called the Women's Lifestyle Expo, and I was like, oh, I'm just going to give it a go. It was my first time showing hine to anyone, like being out in the public or having a stall or anything. So I was like, I'm just going to experience it. And it was so expensive to get it too. It was like, off the top of my head, I'm pretty sure it was almost $2,000 or something just to have a stall, which is ridiculous. I don't know why I did it, but anyway, back then I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. That's right. I shared a stall with another business friend that I had, and it was her first one as well. Jesus, keeps falling out. It was her first stall as well, and so we shared the cost. And a lot of people were coming to her stall, but not mine, and it was really disheartening. But I think for me, I was just trying to think of the positives, like, hey, it's my first one, like first time people are going to see it, and it was just a buzz being there with my own product as well. It's like, wow, like, because like I said, I didn't have any experience, and it's not like I left school thinking, oh, I'm going to be a business owner. It just happened. And so I think for me, it was a buzz being there with my own physical product, meeting people. And some people knew me from not hine, but like my makeup days when I used to be a makeup artist. So they knew me from that. So they were coming to say hello. But like I mentioned in my post, I think we only sold, it was less than 10 leggings, and it like, barely. I don't even think it could cover the cost of the store for me. And so, and it was 2 days, and like it was disheartening at the time. I remember being disheartened, but at the same time I was like, just think of the positives, like it was your first one and all of that. And so I try not to be too down about it. Yeah, a lot of people probably experience the same thing.
I have a feeling that that would have taught you some valuable lessons when it comes to business.
Patience.
True.
It's patience, yeah. And that's why when anyone ever asks me about, like what's some tips and things for business, it's like, be patient, because it doesn't happen just like that. It's a long process, it's a long journey, and you have to stay in it. And that's the thing that probably majority of people give up so easily. is that they're not patient enough. They're just like, nah, it's not happening for me. I'm not making any money, or no one's liking my product, or right. And it's just like, no, you have to stay in it. You have to stay in it. And so that's probably what I learned from that, was just like, be patient, do another one, or make more products, and get feedback on what people like and don't like, and then you can change your product up and then put it back out again. So it was just those kind of whakaaro that were going through my head at the time.
Where does where does your business acumen come from? You strike me as the type of woman who kind of knows her way around money and how to make money. Where does your ability to do that come from?
Nah, my ability. No. That's probably, and I'm pretty honest about this. That's the one area that I struggle in, and
True.
yeah, is money, because I don't know. I like at school and stuff, you don't learn about how to manage your money, or how to, start a business and all these sorts of things, which I wish we did have this back in school. And so I wasn't. I was a university student, and then I worked in TV, and then became self-employed. So it's like I didn't really learn from anyone how to, deal with finances and things like that, how to even grow your business. Like even all the lingo around money, I was just like, what the, even to this day, actually. That's why I have an amazing accountant. But that was actually the area that I really struggled in. And it wasn't until I did bring on help that it just changed everything for me. And I was able to focus on the areas that I knew I could do well. So no, I don't think. I don't know if that answered your question, but
okay, then let's flip that
I
question.
wasn't
Then
sharp.
do you consider yourself a hustler?
Well, we just spoke about this off before we went live. So no, back then I didn't. But like I mentioned to you before, is that it wasn't until I had kids that everything changed for me, and it kind of like fired up that hustle for me. Only because I wanted to be at home. I wanted to be with my kids. I was a stay-at-home mama. I had just had my son, and so I was actually working in TV doing makeup artistry. And then when I had my son, I didn't want to go back to mahi, and I was like, I want to stay at home, and so that's when I was like, okay, how can I make money and stay at home and still be able to, provide for my whānau and be able to contribute. So that's when I would start obviously doing makeup. I started doing YouTube videos, and that some of them were paid, paid promotions and things like that. And then what else was I doing? I was buying and selling makeup. And so that's where the hustle started for me. But like when people ask me, did you ever think you'd get into business? And I said, no, not really. Like I was a self-employed makeup artist, which is a business. But if I kind of thought back then, if there was anything that I did want to do in business, it would be something to do along the lines of makeup or beauty, because that was my passion back then. It wasn't clothes. Like I had no intentions of doing clothes, and had no experience in clothing. So it was real random. But obviously, like I said, it was just the kaupapa behind Hine Collection that really pushed me and motivated me.
I want to keep running with that. Talk to me about the importance, and you've mentioned it a few times, of this community, this Hine community. We've already touched on your whānau, but I from the outside looking in, and by outside I mean as a male looking at female activewear. Not that I do that often. Talk to me about the importance of bringing those concepts like whānau and applying them to your business model, applying the concept of whānau to Hine Collection. Like I can see the community, the movement is massive. Like there is women everywhere, all shapes, sizes, tall, short. Everybody just they vibe with this concept of whānau that I think that you've been skillful enough to integrate into your marketing of it all. Talk me about that, the importance of that.
Whoa. The thing for me is that I didn't want to just be like a clothing brand or an activewear brand. The whole, one of the things that really pushed me with Hine was I was on my own health and fitness journey, but I wanted to I wanted others to be on that journey with me. I wanted to encourage my best friends. I wanted to encourage my whānau to jump on that waka and start, living a healthier lifestyle and start getting active and being fit. So I remember back then when I started my journey, I created a Facebook group page, and I don't know what it was called in the beginning, but I eventually changed it to Hine Movement. And so in this community group, this group page that we had, that was me encouraging people, other wahine, to do the challenge. I think we were doing like 12-week challenges and things. So that was me trying to encourage them. Okay, come on, let's start taking care of our tinana. Here's the clothing, but get on the waka and actually use the clothes and start being active. And so we had, we're running challenges and things like that. And that's where the community started to build. And it was like growing and growing. Thousands of wahine were tuning in. And so that was the main like push behind Hine movement was, it's not about the activewear, it's actually what's behind the activewear, which is like encouraging our wahine, our community, to actually start taking care of themselves, encouraging them to be confident in themselves. Just all of that kaupapa. And it just kind of happened. It just grew without me even really knowing it. Like girls would just tell me, oh, I saw this other girl at I don't know, Countdown, and oh my god, she was wearing hine, and we were talking and we hugged. And honestly, I hear stories like this all the time. We hugged, and oh my god, I just felt like I knew her because she was wearing hine gears, and oh, it was amazing. Or I was, I don't know, climbing moa or something, and oh, I saw this girl wearing hine, and it was so cool, and we said hello. And so it was like, it was all happening out there without me even knowing it. And when people tell me about it, I'm like, wow, okay, like I just don't I didn't realize how big the community actually was.
Kia ora.
But very, I don't know, it always does make me emotional when I think about it, because I'm like, man, how did this happen in the 3.5 years or 4 years? Like, how did it grow so fast? But it's the community. Like, we would be nothing without the community, because they're the ones that are talking about our brand every day. They're the ones wearing the gears every day, and no matter like what collections we drop, they're coming back and buying more and supporting us. So we would be absolutely nothing without our Hine community.
Well, let's run with that. What does it feel like as the CEO of Hine Collection to see someone else wearing literally your brainchild? You have thought that right from the time the pencil hits the paper, to the colors, to the arguments with the suppliers, to everything. What does it feel like when you're out on the street and you see someone wearing all of that hard work and effort?
It doesn't get old. I mean, like, especially when you see it in the most random places. I was, this is my house, and obviously in my house, but outside I saw wahine. She was like walking past, and it was a Pākehā lady too, which is, I think that's the coolest part. And she was just walking her dog the other day in hine leggings, and I was like, what the, wow, that's just like random, but it's so cool. And it never gets old, even though we're almost 4 years old now. Seeing it definitely like reminds me that of what we've gone through, the journey, but also it just reminds me that we're on the right track, because we've had so many ups and downs, so it's been a struggle, to say the least. So when you do see that, it kind of makes it worth it. You're like, man, that's so cool. Yeah.
So we're talking activewear. We're talking, you've mentioned 12-week challenges on a Facebook page, all of this sort of stuff. The next, the natural progression, I suppose, would be a gym. Something that you have, and when I saw you open a gym, I thought, wow, that is out of it. Like, Miria Flavell has a gym. Talk to me about Miria Flavell's gym. How did that come about?
It was a New Year's resolution. I was just it was New Year's time. Before every year, I plan out my year, and I'm like, okay, what are my goals? And it could be my own personal goals, it could be business goals. We used to do boot camps outside, and I was like, okay, we can't keep doing this. Like, we've got to, like, I want to create a space that these people, it wasn't just wahine either, it was Tani as well. I want to create a space that they can come to and train with us, and it's the whole community thing that we just spoke about it, like, because we had that community of people here in Kirikiriroa, and so they were coming to our boot camps. And so yeah, I was planning out my year, and I said, okay, what are your biggest, this is just me personally, so I'll be like, okay, what are your big goals this year? And at the top of my list was the gym. I want to open up a gym. And whew, no, it was kind of like, just like what I was saying about the activewear. I had no idea how it was going to happen, but I was like, oh, I have to make it happen. And it was crazy because for some silly reason, honestly, probably heaps of people think I'm such a crazy person, because it was actually just after COVID that I was like, because COVID pushed Hine back a lot. It was, anyway, heaps of delays and things like that. And so during COVID was when I started planning it all out, because I was at home doing nothing, like you're at home, you've got heaps of time to think and plan. So, and that's why I always encourage people, when you're in lockdown, it's the best time for you to start planning out whatever it is you want to be doing. So I planned it out, started having a look online for spaces, that were available to open up a gym. And so straight out of lockdown, met with a real estate agent, got the space. And then obviously it took a while to get everything else, but as long as we had the space, I was like, okay, now everything will all start to fall into place. And then when I saw the cost, I was like, oh, okay, is this a good idea? But I don't know. At the time, I was like, I don't really like talking money and like flaunting money around. But how much does a gym cost to start?
Oh,
I'm not gonna talk about that. Okay. It is very expensive. It is expensive if you want good quality gears and things like that, which I did want. Like, I'm all about quality. I'll pay more money if it means it's going to be a good quality product. That's just like with our clothes. So that was important to me. So it was expensive, but I knew that it was going to be worth it, bringing our community together. Like, I was excited, and it was the best thing we did.
And then if that wasn't enough to go from activewear and 12-week challenges to opening a gym, sheesh, what can't you do? Now you want to be able to affect change through supplements. Talk to me about that. How does Miria Flavell now have her own supplements brand?
Well, not yet. We haven't launched it yet. It was supposed to be this month, but thank you, COVID. It's going to be pushed out a little bit, but it's very close. So like I was saying before, I didn't want us to just be a clothing brand that will just give you your clothes and go off, do whatever you want with the clothes. You start your own journey by yourself. I wanted to think of things that we can do to encourage them along the way, or be on that journey with them all the way through. And so here's the clothing, here's the space, or even honestly, my ultimate goal would be able to do something online so that everyone else can tune in, whether it's, I don't know, an app or something that they can tune in and do workouts with us one day, and even more gyms, like just to be able to get into the other communities, because right now we're only here in Hamilton. So that's a goal. And so I thought, okay, what are some other things? I used to get asked all the time, and still do today, is what supplements do you use? What protein powders do you use? All these sorts of questions. And I would, obviously tell them the ones that I was using. And then the whakaaro came, well, why don't we just do our own supplement brand? And so created Level Up supplements that we will be launching very soon, which I'm very excited for. Another new baby of mine that I've been working on probably the last year. That's been pretty challenging. So I'm looking forward to finally getting that out there.
I hope you can see like the privileged position you're in to be able to do these things. Like, talk to me, like you talk about these challenges to me, like about starting a supplement company. I can't say that I've ever started a supplement company in my life. How do you go about traversing some of those difficulties when you're kind of you're setting the speed, I suppose? Like, when you look around, there aren't too many other Māori starting gyms, cool, activewear, okay, kind of. But then when you start getting into that more uncharted territory, like supplements, to be able to provide that wraparound service, I suppose, how do you kind of traverse those difficulties when you kind of can't bounce off anyone else? You're kind of out there alone by yourself.
Whoa, how do you even answer that? I don't know. I mean, I'm lucky enough to have some amazing mentors in my life right now. I do have a business mentor. I've got a financial advisor who is everything for me too. He's basically my mentor as well. So having those people, having even my parents, like my mom, like just having those people in my corner, pushing me and supporting me when I need it. Because I'm not going to say that every day I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go out and smash this, or yay, this is going to happen and that. Like, I doubt myself a lot of times. And so trying to get over that and just keep pushing. And what I was saying about the supplements being difficult was, it was a whole other world. Like, people can say, oh, you're in business, it's easy for you to go to something else, but it's not, because you're literally starting from scratch. You're starting at step one again. And not having any experience in the supplement world or even the gym world. Like it's just two other, like, well, now it's three different worlds: kākahu, gym, supplements. So in each area, I've got people there with me who have the experience, who have the knowledge, who are helping me to achieve those things. So without all these different people, and I mean like in all the different areas, I've got certain people that help me in those certain areas. So without them, obviously, I probably wouldn't be able to do what I do. So it's so important to be surrounded by those sorts of people.
I think that's an interesting common thread that we find when we look at some of the leaders that we tend and mentors that we tend to look up to, is that ability to delegate responsibility and not kind of micromanage. Is that something like, as a CEO, you can't be a few days over 30 years of age, like as a young CEO, a mother of two, like, is that responsibility to delegate? How important is that? Because like there is so much on your plate. We've just spent the last 25 minutes talking about 3 massive kaupapa, not 1, not 2, but 3 massive kaupapa. How important to you is that ability to delegate responsibility and go, okay, sweet, I trust in you wholeheartedly to get it done how I want to do it? Or are you the one that's kind of over their shoulder going, hey, you fellas, do it?
It took a while, I'll just say that. It took a while, and you have to find the right people. So I will say that, you know, you do, along the way, there have been people that have come and gone, and then you kind of find the people that you 100% trust, and people that, you know, love your kaupapa as much as you do, or are so loyal to you and will do, you know, the absolute best for you and your kaupapa, and the love that they have for hine, for whatever other kaupapa I'm doing. So finding those right people. But I remember, because the first year was just me, and I remember even bringing someone on was huge, because I think my first ever staff member I brought on came on to do admin, and I was dealing with admin all the time. And so bringing someone else, I'm like, okay, like I'll go in and check the emails and see how they're responding. And my thing was always like, can you just please respond how I would respond? Like, you know, because it was so precious to me. So I'm like always checking in, like, are they responding how I would respond? Or, you know, and so in the first, I'd say 2 years, I was kind of like very protective, and still am. I'm very protective to this day. But you get to a point where you're like, you need to stop, like relax, let these people that you do trust take over, because if you don't, you're gonna lose your freaking marbles, and you're gonna struggle, and you're really going to fall into a dark place. And I have a few times, because I'm, you know, got too much happening, and obviously like my priority are my kids. That's my first like that's my first that's not a job, but you know, that's my first, my number one kaupapa is my kids. And so when I'm trying to take on so much and do all these different kaupapa, and they're getting left behind, that's when I'm like, need a bit of a you know, wake up and say, look, you just need to let go. And very lucky, very lucky to have the people that I do today, to be able to run the things that like the different kaupapa with me. I've got an amazing team.
I just want to stop you there, because you mentioned something amidst all of these massive kaupapa that are going on, falling into a dark place. Is that kind of a place that you've been when you've experienced these massive highs? Like, I think we all know that to experience, or at least to acknowledge a massive high, you have to experience you know, the lowest of lows. Is that something that you've been through this whole hine journey?
Well, see, people see all the successes, but they don't see the journey that led to that destination. Like, they don't see the journey that we all went through behind the scenes to even get there. And I do try and share a lot of the ups and downs on my social media. I've kind of pulled back a bit, just because of the fact that my time is so consumed with everything else at the moment. But yeah, the journey that it actually takes is so, it's like a huge freaking roller coaster. It's all over the place, and so many moments that we've had that could have easily broken me, could have easily ended Hine Collection. You know, just so many things that went wrong. And I think for me personally, I'm always I do celebrate my successes, or the successes of Hine, but at the same time, I'm I'm like, okay, yeah, what's next? Or like, yeah, you can go further than that now. Like, and thank God for my best friends that are like, hey, you freaking celebrate that. Like, you have to celebrate every single milestone that you have. And I'm like, yeah, I'm trying, but I'm so hard on myself sometimes, and that's probably where I do tend to fall into the dark place, having that, putting that pressure on myself to always do bigger and better, or just to, and so many people can probably relate to that, is you're always like so hard on yourself because you want to do bigger and better, or you want to achieve bigger things, or all that sort of thing. But for me, I hate getting comfortable. I love challenges, and that's
what is it about comfortability that scares you?
I just love challenges. So and that's probably why I say that people probably think I'm crazy, because thinking about doing a gym, I remember my whānau and my friends are like, what? Like, why would you do that? But then I'm like, I really want to do it. And so I think putting that challenge out in front of me, and it could even be like, for example, I did my first CrossFit comp this year. So it's like not even in my business life, but my personal, I'm like, I want something to work towards. And I always have to stay on track, to stay motivated, to stay inspired about all the things I want to do. I have to have challenges in front of me, so I've got something to work towards. And so, yeah, like the CrossFit comp, I'm going to do a CrossFit comp. So working towards that. And so it could be like with the gym, I want something to work towards. So that's just kind of my mindset all the time, is I don't want to just stay here and just provide activewear, provide kakahu. Like, I want other things, and I want to keep growing the business. And yeah.
You mentioned something earlier that I wanted to pick up on back then, but we'll go there now because I think it ties in well. Goal setting. When you, and I know you'll know this too, you can acknowledge successful people and see successful people in the way in which they operate, the way in which they behave, but more importantly, the way in which they think. Tell me how important, and give our viewers some tips and tricks when it comes to setting goals. We may not be setting goals in the form of, next year I want to open up a gym, and the year after that I want to do a supplements company. But how important is that goal setting that you talk about, to be able to keep putting one foot after the other, to keep moving in a forward direction?
Well, it's like a map, eh? So if you don't have directions in front of you, like how do you know where you're going? And so I see it like it is a map, and directions to get you to wherever your ultimate goal could be, or wherever you want to head towards. And so for me, if I don't have goals, then what am I doing? Like, because now, back then, a lot of my mahi was the operation. So it was, picking and packing orders. Like the orders would come through and I'll do it. But now, because I've got my team doing that, I'm focusing on growing hine and seeing where we are taking hine in the future. And so every year I have to have my goals in place just to be able to stay on track. Just like I was saying before, staying on track, but having things to work towards, and like those challenges that you would have. So it's so important. Otherwise, you just don't know where you're going. But it's like, it's milestones too. So it's like reaching that destination, and it's like, okay, yeah, you're getting closer and closer to your ultimate goal. And so I think it's so important for everyone, no matter what you're doing, is to set those goals, whether it is personal goals as well. I just think it's so important. I do tell everyone that does ask me about, what's helped me with business, and it is setting those goals, or figuring out what your plan is. And you don't have to have an answer in front of you. You don't have to be like, okay, in 2 years time, I want to, I don't know, what's something out of it. Oh, no, because I was going to say something, and I was like, actually, that is achievable for anyone. But, like if you had like an ultimate goal, it's not like you have to know where you're going. It's just even like 6-month goals, or, just having something in place just to keep you on track.
It strikes me as kind of ironic that we're talking about this fitness space. I think those of us who have been inside a gym, or at least any group fitness kaupapa, will know that you get a certain type of person in those spaces who are always driven to be better and never satisfied. And I get that vibe with you, that you're never satisfied. They're always chasing, I think all the gym bunnies, they call it always chasing the pump. Always wanting to be bigger and better, quicker, faster, jump higher, lift more, all of those sorts of things. It's really interesting for me to be able to break it down and see how you've applied that to business, and you know, and how others who have been in your position before, coming from Rotorua, or our small towns like Rotorua, coming through Kura Kaupapa, all of those sorts of things, and being able to actualize all of these goals and all of these dreams and manifest them and bring them into actual being. That's quite amazing. What's your take on that?
I just don't see the difference between me and anyone else, especially us as Māori. Like, our people have got to be the most entrepreneurial people, I'll be honest. And like, you know, it could be even at the marae, like tourism and things like that. Like, it's everywhere, especially in Rotorua. I'm sure you would know that. Like, it's everywhere. And so I feel like, and it's funny because majority of my like entrepreneurial business friends that I have are from Rotorua, which is pretty cool. But anyway, I just think it's just in us. Like, we've always we're grown up that way about, you know, with the tourism side of things, is like, you know, manaki te tangata and everyone coming through and all that. And so I don't know if that is kind of on track with your pātai, but I just feel like it's in us. It's just about us as us supporting those people, those entrepreneurs. It's us surrounding them and supporting them and letting them know you can do this. And honestly, the amount of people that have talked to me from Rotorua or from, you know, small towns or anywhere, here in Hamilton especially as well, it's just encouraging them, because they might not have those people behind them pushing them. And you know, for me, I was lucky enough to have my small circle, but I won't say that there was not people, there weren't certain people that did tell me I couldn't do it, because I did have those people. And so really important that if you do see someone that really does want to get into business, or I don't know, wants to just achieve their own dreams of becoming a singer, becoming an actress, like, get behind them and actually push them and support them, because you have no idea how much they actually need you. Seriously. So yeah, that's probably one thing I'd love to say to our people is, like, man, just start supporting our own, and not even our own, just anyone. Just start supporting and just encouraging them.
I've seen on a few other podcasts going around at the moment, they talk about the crab in a bucket syndrome. And I think when we're talking about this demographic in particular, Māori people, like, sorry, Whānau, I don't want to go in on you fellas, but at
Oh gosh.
but at times though, we are our biggest,
Yeah, man.
harshest critics, you know. And I'm from what you're telling me, I'm guessing you would have had some harsh criticism over the years trying to get Hine Collection off the ground. And it's not until it's starting to, you know, a bit of an annual turnover now, people are starting to be like, oh yeah, let's go buy some clothes from Miria and Hine Collection. Is that kind of, am I on the right track there?
Yes, 100%. The crazy thing for me when I first started was, you know, because everything is not perfect, like in terms of my business. Like, there could be I don't know, I've sent the wrong item to someone or something. It's an honest mistake, and you feel real bad about it, and you're trying to apologize and things like that. But anyway, like, you would have massive complaints, and it could be like a review they'll leave, and I'm telling you now, majority were Māori, and they'll even take to their Instagram story, and start blasting us because we sent them the wrong item or something was faulty. And for me to see another Māori doing that was so disheartening for me. I'm not even gonna I'm not even gonna lie about that. So seeing that was like, wow, really? And you take it personally, because you're like, are you really gonna, like, just jump on your social media and blast me? Oh, sorry, blast me like that, like, because that would make it personal.
Yeah.
And then talk about my Paki, which I am obviously very, like, protective over. And then, you know, Hine starts doing better, and people are starting to hear about Hine, and then these same people were, you know, praising us. So I'm like, what, now that we're doing it good, you're going to do that? So that's the hardest part for me, is like, come on, man. Like, especially you know, the fact that not every business is perfect. Like, every business would go through mistakes or ups and downs and things like that. So yeah, that was probably the hardest part. And obviously, like, you know, I remember in the beginning getting told that Hine would only be a Māori business, and would only have Māori wahine buying from me and things like that, and that I wouldn't go far because it's got a Māori name. And Even to this day, I still get comments like that, which is all good. I've got such thick skin now when it comes to hine. Like I know what I can achieve, and so I don't let any of those kind of comments affect me anymore. I mean, back then, obviously, it was really hard because you're doubting yourself in the beginning anyway. But now I'm just like, shh, like don't even talk to me. I'm too focused, man. I know where I'm going, so just. Yeah.
I want to start wrapping us up. We've hit 45 minutes, and it has been an awesome 45 minutes. But what I want to do, I want to put a bit of a positive spin to wrap up our kōrero. Let's make a positive sandwich out of this discussion this evening. What are some takeaways that you can give the next Miria Flavell out there, the young Māori girl out there who is looking to make entrepreneurial endeavors a reality? That was a mouthful. Looking to show up when it comes to hustling and really making something of these goals, this ambition, these dreams that she has. What can you say to the next generation of those people? Yeah, they could be in our generation, but those who are looking to start to make a difference, with the impact that Hine Collection has made. What can you say to our whānau out there?
Oh, it's simple, really. Just keep grinding, like keep working at it, because like I said, it doesn't come easy. It's a long journey, but as long as you stay in it, be patient, but keep working hard. Like it's not going to come to you just like that. You have to work really hard for it. You have to if your reason behind it, and this is why when people talk to me about wanting to start business, I'm like, what's your why? Like, what's your reason for doing it? Because if your reason is so special to you, or is there at the top of your mind, then it's going to carry you throughout that whole journey. So I had my reason, I had my purpose, and so having that right in front of you at the top of your mind every single day, that helps. But like I said, there's nothing different between me and any other person that wants to do what I'm doing or wants to get into business. It's just as long as you keep working, keep grinding, finding those people that you can trust and you can rely on when you are having a bad day, or when you are starting to doubt yourself, having those friends that you can ring up and be like, hey, look, I don't think I can do this. And they'll, start yelling in your ear. So it's just those sorts of things that I really encourage people to focus on.
What's coming up next? What does the next 6 to 12 months look like for Hine Collection and Miria Flavell?
So we've got our performance collection that we're launching next week on Friday, the 10th of September. Finally, it got pushed back quite a bit because of COVID, but kei te pai, we're on track again. So that's launching next week. And then we've got the supplements, fingers crossed, if COVID doesn't make its way back to us again, here in Kirikiriroa, sorry, Tamaki. But if we're all good with COVID, then hopefully the supplements will be launching next month, which I'm very, very excited about.
Ka pai, tino pai. E te tuhine he anau ki te mihi ki a koe I tēnei pō, nā te mea I wawe tofa kai mai, kia noho tāua ki runga I tēnei taumata kōrero, ka nui te mihi ki a koe. Me wā tātou tamariki ko kotuti atu ki te whare whakapakari tina nei te tāo te whaia keke. Ka nui te mihi ki a koutou katoa. E tātou ma, that is us done and dusted. Just before we go, Miria, where can we get you and Hine Collection on social media, just before we wrap it up?
Hine Collection, so just at Hine Collection. Mine's just at Miria Flavell as well. Yay.
Give her a like, share, and a follow. All those sorts of good things. You can also get us at Taumata Kōrero. We are on Facebook, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio. I like plugging that one. That's a random one, but I like saying it because we are on iHeartRadio with all the heavy hitters of the radio industry. That is us done and dusted for another night, ladies and gentlemen. It has been a pleasure spending time with you the last 49 minutes on your Friday evening lockdown edition. Ka nui te mihi kia koutou katoa, I roto I o koutou kāinga, kia haumaru te noho. Have an awesome weekend. From Miria and I signing out. This is the Taumata Kōrero. Long live the wānanga. Pō mai.
Tapareia tapa, konunua tapa, tapa konunua koe ana tokua. Tapareia tapa, konunua koe ana tokua.